On September 8, 1984, the Alabama Crimson Tide opened its football season against Boston College at Birmingham's Legion Field. Nearly 70,000 Tide fans were present, as well as a national television audience. On the defensive end of the field, Bama chased and pressured eventual Heisman Trophy winner Doug Flutie, sacking the Eagle quarterback several times and forcing the turnover. When senior Paul Caruth ran into the end zone from 3 yards out, Alabama had tied the score at 7. From there, for more than 3 quarters, Alabama dominated the Eagles as Kerry Good put on one of the best running shows of the 1984 season. With 297 all-purpose running yards, 197 on kickoff returns, Good scored 3 times, once running, once receiving, and once on a 99-yard kickoff return.
We knew sooner or later we was going to get a pretty good gain on one of them, and we just come back out and call the same thing we had been doing all night. And when I received it, everything just seemed to open up. Didn't nobody even touch me. It was smooth sailing all the way.
But Boston College's startling comeback, keyed by Flutie, cost the Crimson Tide more than just a game on this Saturday night, as the exciting Kerry Good went down with a knee injury that would end his season after only 2.5 quarters of play. However, a determined group of young men would gather themselves and demonstrate the great future of Alabama football. Number 10, freshman quarterback Vince Sutton, with more than 660 yards passing. Number 11, sophomore quarterback Mike Shula, who passed for 568 yards. Number 82, freshman wide receiver Clay Whitehurst. Number 17, sophomore flanker Greg Richardson, averaging more than 16 yards per catch. Number 34, sophomore safety Ricky Thomas. Number 95, sophomore nose guard Kurt Jarvis, with 6 quarterback sacks and 7 tackles for a loss. Number 78, junior tackle John Hand, who combined with number 79, junior tackle Brent Sewell for 114 stops. Number 58, sophomore linebacker Wayne Davis. And number 97, sophomore All-America linebacker Cornelius Bennett, the Tide's leading tackler with 102 stops. Alabama's character and its pride in the great tradition of Crimson Tide football was soundly tested by a frustrating and at times exasperating start. The week following the Boston College setback, the Tide ran into Georgia Tech, whose experience was evident against Alabama's youthful defense. Nationally ranked Vanderbilt, like Tech, used a potent offensive attack and upset Alabama's homecoming celebration. But even in defeat, Alabama's offensive and defensive units continued to improve. Hard work and a will to persevere, mixed with budding maturity, blossomed early in Alabama's Southeastern Conference showdown with neighboring Georgia. It was a Georgia native, freshman quarterback Vince Sutton, who was a prime performer as the Tide hung in against the Dogs and made a game of it. But early mistakes had put Bama beneath a mountain it could not climb. Only 10 points separated Alabama at the day's end from victory, and only 7 days stood between the Crimson Tide and a stunning win over the fiercest of foes, the Nittany Lions of Penn State and their learned coach Joe Paterno. Alabama's second season, when the Tide would win 4 of its last 6 games, started before a sellout crowd at Bryant-Denny Stadium. From sunup to sundown, the day belonged to the Crimson and White of Alabama. In a battle that saw the young Tide defense mature, neither team could manage to score through 3 quarters. It was an old-fashioned helmet-busting defensive battle. One Penn State drive was stopped when Cornelius Bennett grabbed his first interception of the season.
Well, we knew, against Penn State, they was going to throw some quick outs, and we had, the quarterback scrambling around, and I kind of was reading where he was going to throw the ball, and just ended up in the right place at the right time.
On the last play of the 3rd quarter, Vince Sutton connected with Pollock Caruth to set up a 53-yard field goal attempt by Van Tippen.
I just remember kicking the ball and looking up, and I knew that it was down the middle. As soon as I looked up, I just didn't know whether or not it had the distance.
This would be an Alabama school record. He's kicked one from 51. Here's the 53-yard effort. It has plenty of leg. It is right on. Is it good? Yes! Van Tippen kicks the school record. 53-yard field goal, and Alabama takes the first quarter lead.
Tippen's record 53-yard kick, followed by a 23-yarder on Bama's next possession, were the only points of the game as the Tide defense shut out the Nittany Lions, the first shutout in 137 games for Penn State. After Coach Ray Perkins accepted the congratulations of Coach Joe Paterno, he went to thank the Alabama students for their part in the victory. Alabama's 2nd season had begun. The 3rd Saturday in October holds a great Southern tradition. The Orange of Tennessee versus the Crimson of Alabama. In Knoxville, some 95,000 fans on hand to watch Bama do battle with the Volunteers. Early in the game, an interception by Lewis Dean set up the offense, and the talented senior Pollock Caruth cashed the turnover. When the defense gave the ball back to the Bama offense late in the 2nd quarter, the offense went prowling for 6.
Right before the half, we got a turnover by the defense. We got the ball. I think we had like 46 seconds left on the clock. And before I went in, our coach said we was going to throw it out and up, which a play we had been working on. And as I was sprinting out and ready to throw the ball, the cornerback just took the fake by Richardson, and he was so wide open, I thought I overthrew the ball.
Went out and we had a play where it was designed for me with defensive back one-on-one, and it was simply out and up route, and he came up for it, and he slipped or something, and I was just down the field, luckily by myself, and caught it.
The score tied 10-all. 1st and 10 for Alabama at its 32. Rolling to the near side right to throw. This is Sutton throwing deep down the boundary. Open is Richardson, who catches it at the 20, the 10, the 5. Touchdown Alabama! Touchdown Alabama! Sutton to Richardson. Alabama has scored. A last-minute touchdown, and Alabama leads 16-10 over Tennessee.
A 2nd touchdown and 83 yards rushing by senior Pollock Caruth, helping this young team to more maturity and more confidence. 2 late 4th quarter scores by the Volunteers carved out a 1-point Tennessee win. Frustrated again, but more determined, Alabama journeyed south to Jackson a week later, the Mississippi State game in the Magnolia State marked by the return of Mike Shula to quarterback. Coming in early in the 2nd quarter, Shula passed for 185 yards, including a 19-yard touchdown to freshman Greg Payne. The ground attack again led by senior Pollock Caruth, carrying 23 times for 91 yards and a touchdown. Caruth continued to be Bama's #1 runner. Having played hurt against Tennessee, all SEC defensive tackle John Hann led the Tide defense with 15 tackles.
And in the Mississippi State game, I had to decide to put the pain behind me and just go out and do what the team needed for me to do to help win. So I just went out and forgot about the pain. And luckily, I had my best game of the season.
With Mississippi State fumbling twice and a pass interception by Cornelius Bennett, the Tide defense kept the Bulldogs in check and gave the Bama offense ample opportunities to score. The play of the game came midway through the fourth quarter when Shula hooked up with Greg Richardson.
You know, Greg just made a great play on staying with the ball, and the ball was tipped up, and he came down with it and, you know, and scored the touchdown. It's just, for me, it was after I threw the ball, I didn't have a good feeling because I didn't throw it real well, but just, you know, it just goes to show you with the type of receivers that we have here, Greg, and some of the other guys, and the talent that they have, that, you know, what can happen when the ball's up in the air.
The ball was a little bit underthrown, and I was coming back mainly to stop him from intercepting the ball, and he tipped it and I tipped it, and I kept concentrating on the ball, and luckily it came in my hands, and he failed, and I was lucky enough to score.
A big play and a big Southeastern Conference win gave the young Tide team and quarterback Mike Shula a new sense of confidence.
The fact that we were able to come from behind in the Mississippi State game, I thought, especially in the fourth quarter, I think it had to give our football team a lot of confidence. I know it did for me. And, you know, I think that confidence carried over the rest of the season. We wanted to use it as a stepping stone.
The 1st of December brought the highly rated Tigers of Louisiana State to Birmingham to take on the Crimson Tide. Senior Paul Otkaruth representing the game captains. The Alabama starting lineup heavy with underclassmen. On Alabama's first possession, Mike Shula continued where he had left off against Mississippi State, completing 3 of his first 4 passes. A 2-yard bolt by Big Ricky Moore, and the score was tied at 7. Bama's second touchdown came late in the first half as Mike Shula mixed the run and the pass, marching the Tide 80 yards in 13 plays. Senior Ricky Moore having his best day of the '84 season, and freshman Doug Allen ran through gaping holes in the Tiger defense. With rain soaking Legion Field, Alabama's offense was thundering. A bolt of lightning off the arm of Mike Shula, a perfect pass to Ed Pugh as the Crimson Tide took a 14-10 halftime lead. On defense, Alabama had its best game of 1984, holding the SEC's leading offense to just 74 yards rushing and 87 yards passing. Alabama dominated the Tigers in nearly every statistical category. One of the best overall games of the '84 campaign, but the scoreboard belonged to the Sugar Bowl-bound LSU Tigers, a narrow 2-point loss. Although the Tide had suffered one of its most disappointing setbacks of the season, an important lesson was learned. This young Bama team was becoming a good football team capable of playing with the best. It is regarded throughout America as one of the most partisan and fiercely played rivalries in all of college football. Alabama and Auburn. Roll Tide and War Eagle. More than just a game, it's pride, it's bragging rights. It's a lot of everything in every nook and cranny of the state. It is a football game the players remember all their lives.
You know, coming up to Alabama, I didn't know much about the tradition, the rivalry between the two schools, but I sure learned a lot in, you know, my few years here. I think it was the game itself is the big event of the year for the state of Alabama, with the two schools and the people around in Alabama, and you know, everyone looks forward to that, you know, to the game.
It means a great deal to me because we get a lot of respect around the state. It's something you can brag about the whole year. And for me, I had a teammate that's playing on that team, and that's really made it great for me.
Whenever you line up to play Auburn, you get an extra intense feeling that this is the game of the year. This makes the season.
Oh, that's the biggest game of the season. It's bragging rights for a year. It means a lot, not only to the players, but the families, friends, and just everybody.
Auburn took an early 7-point lead in the 49th Iron Bowl when Bo Jackson scored from 2 yards out. Then Mike Shula brought the Tide offense onto the field and engineered a flawless march, using the short pass and the running of Ricky Moore, going 80 yards and consuming nearly 7 minutes of time. Alabama knocking on the door.
First and goal at the 6. Auburn up in the second quarter, 7-0. A snap of the ball, cross sweep left side, Caruth at the 5, driving to the 4 and into the end zone. Touchdown. Ball at Caruth. Touchdown, Alabama. He drove over Kevin Porter, the left quarterback, who was no match for the fifth-year senior. And Van Tiffin cannot.
The remainder of the first half was a defensive war. The Tide defense shutting down the Tiger offense. Once again, the freshmen and sophomores of Alabama's defense had held one of the SEC's most potent offenses. Stopping Bo Jackson and sacking the Auburn quarterback, the defense led Bama to a 7-7 tie at halftime. With the score tied and only 30 minutes to play, it was certain this old traditional matchup was headed for another glorious finish. The third quarter belonged to the Alabama offense as Mike Shula took the Tide 69 yards in 5 plays on their first possession of the half. Running himself and passing to Greg Richardson, Shula had the Tide in scoring position.
First and goal at the 4. Shula turns, pitches to Caruth. Caruth for the end zone. Touchdown! Caruth scores his second touchdown of this, his final game for Alabama. And the Tide takes the lead.
Leading 14-7, the Tide struck the next time they had the ball, with Shula and Richardson connecting again to put the ball in position for place kicker Van Tiffin.
Larry Abney to hold. There's the spot. The kick is in the air. It will be close. It sails toward the uprights. It's good! Van Tiffin connects from 52 yards away, the second longest field goal of his sophomore career. It's Alabama 17, Auburn 7.
Leading 17-7, Alabama's defense knew what it had to do. Stop Auburn. Fourth down, Auburn on Alabama's 1-yard line. The whole state of Alabama holding its collective breath. Sophomores Wayne Davis and Vernon Wilkinson forced the Tiger running back into the waiting arms of freshman Rory Turner, and the Crimson Tide had stopped Auburn one more time. As the celebration of the 17-15 victory over Auburn began, it was obvious the young had grown up to become real red elephants. Coach Ray Perkins had taken a group dominated by freshmen and sophomores and molded them into a football team. The victory over the Auburn Tigers had given Alabama fans a look into the future of Alabama football. Roll Tide in '85.